So we'll be working on this hair. I just did the outline. I feel like there's a lot of shadows in the work, but anyway, so that's what we got now. So mostly, if you have something like this is how you start. You're just gonna follow the outlines, right? So we have these outlines here, right? And I'm just gonna do this because you'd realize that hair would always gonna have just O2. I'm gonna use O1 to start, then later I bring in O2, right? Because you would need to use something. You need to have this down like so. Then you come here. So this part, I want this part to curve in like this. Alright, so I'm just gonna mimic these lines like this. And these are just gonna be just the structure, or just the first layup, right? So we're just gonna do this layer. And we would want to keep the spaces bigger for this for the start, right? Because we would come in later to get everything, the details and the shadows and whatnot, right? So in the beginning, we just want to create this this sort of system, right? And get the path high, GHT, right? We just want to get the path in, going in. So here we're gonna follow this this curvature. We're gonna go this way, and when it gets here, we're gonna go like this, right? When you pay attention to the pattern of the hair, it flows like this. So here it goes here, and when it gets here, when it gets to the right, it's gonna go like this, and when it gets in the middle, right, it straightens up a little bit, right? More so like that. Nice. Right, so when we come to this side, we're just gonna repeat the left, we just go like so. All right, now interesting thing here, when you get here, now it becomes a bit tricky. Then you'd have to decide which direction you're gonna go, because this hair is folding into this part. So this is over this one, right? And this one is underneath this layer here, right? So we're gonna draw this line over this one, right? Because we want to do this layer thing. So we're gonna go this way, right? So with this one, we're all going to follow one pattern or one direction, right? Because each layer of each part or each layer has its own direction that it goes, right? There you go. All right, nice. So we have this. Now, this one continues at the back here. It goes in like that. Then it comes out like this. So I'm going to keep that pattern, right? I'm keeping it very simple. It's simple, but doesn't really sound simple, right? Then you come in here. Now, when it gets here, you realize that this pattern we're going so, but when it gets here, because the outline changes, right? The outline is more like this. So that's exactly what we're gonna do, right? We're gonna go like this. All right, so I'm gonna go like this. Now the last part, this one goes in. So with this, I'm just gonna follow this outline here. I hope you can see it. Hello. Hey, hi guys, how are you? All right, I'm just gonna follow this outline here and repeat the outline, right? So I'm just gonna go like this. Just follow it as you already see it. Just follow it, very simple. Now, don't forget this first layer that we're doing, you have to start off very simple, right? So you might need to start off with a very faint pen. So I'm using a 0.1. And later on, as we go, I'll bring in my 0.2, and I'll bring in, I'm going to skip the 0.3 and I'll use the 0.4 because I feel like the 0.2 and the 0.3 and the 0.4 pretty much might get me a similar kind of shadow effect that I want. So I will skip that and just go a bit more darker, right? So now, yes, we have finished the hair, right? There's nothing much to be done. I'm just kidding. There's a lot more needs to be done. So now we have everything down, right? Now I'm just going to emphasize on some areas to differentiate the folding, right? So for example, this area here, we would go darker here. This line here, right? This line here would have also need to go darker, right? Pretty, hey, thanks. So this line here would also need to go darker, right? Now this line here, now we're just going to emphasize on the outlines for now, so that what we want to do would be a lot more obvious to us, right? So that we know exactly what we are shooting for, right? This line would also be a lot more darker here and darker. Now to the side as well, we will make it a little more darker. Now we go here, this area, we go much more darker. We go much more darker. Here we go a little darker. Now we have this one down. Yeah. So basically this, now as it gets here, it's gonna fade into it because all this area get into the, what you call it, the top, the topmost of the hair is just gonna be a little, all of them is gonna be the same, right? So we would fade it, we wouldn't do too much there, and we will go in like this, then here. All right, so yes, now we have this, right? Yes, so that's your hair. You're finished it. Now if you want to stop here, if you're satisfied with this and you want to stop here, yes, you can stop here. But if you are like me and you are never satisfied with anything you create, then you keep on working on. Now, there's something that you'd have to keep in mind, that anytime there is an overlap, that area would have to be darker, right? And right after it's darker, the middle portions would be a little bit overexposed. And this is what I mean, right? If I have this going in like this, because this is over this, so this place would be a little darker, not a little darker, much more darker, right? So I'm just gonna bring in my strokes. And one of my previous videos that I posted, I think it was yesterday, about this lion, I was giving tips on how to shade the pen pressure. If you haven't, please do check it out because it's very helpful. So how to apply the pressure for the pen, you use the side of your thumb or your pinky to place to help you emphasize on the areas that you want to clean up, right? So here I'm just gonna do this areas, right? I'm gonna go like this. Now, as you can see, this place is already giving you it's already giving you a feeling of what is it called? Of overexposure here, right? And that's exactly what we want, right? So this place would be darker, here would be overly exposed for the kind of feeling that we're going to create. And also the left part here as well would be a little much more darker, right? And also this area, because of this hair, right? When it gets here, we would want to go a little darker, right? Exactly like this. Now, good. Now, when we get here, now we're going to repeat the same thing here. We're going to make this one a lot more darker, right? Because it's being buried underneath this one. At this point, if you don't see clearly on what you are doing, you can change your pen and use a darker pen. But since I fairly understand what I'm shooting for, I can keep using this pen, right? But if it's a bit hard for you to understand and differentiate between what overlaps over which one, it's fine. You can just change your pen and darken this line, right? And just make your life much more easier, because sometimes when you're working in certain things like with a lot of similarities, there's a possibility that you're gonna get lost in your work, right? There's so many times I've been working in something and I had to stop and think again to find myself. Okay, like, yo, where am I? Yeah, it's crazy if you understand, if you've ever been there. I don't know if you can ever relate, but sometimes you've been working on something for so much that you get buried in the work so long, and you just be like, okay, this part is for here, and this part goes into this. So this place is supposed to be darker. Like you literally would be analyzing and asking yourself these questions, right? Yeah. But yeah, it takes a lot of practice before you get there, and you can read in between the lines, right? So with this one, this part would just be darker. This part would just be darker, and here this place will be darker. All right, so these ones we're just trying to, at the moment we're trying to differentiate the shadows from the highlights, right? And by so doing, you would be able to understand it a lot more easier. All right, so you have that down, and now you pretty understand the nature of what we are doing, right? This areas would it be darker, so I'm just gonna go. And also it's very important for you to follow these contours or these lines that we have placed before, right? So you just place them down, and with this ones I'm doing darker strokes, so I'll put the side of my palm down, right? You gotta be firm there, be firm on the side, then you take your time and make those strokes, right? When we get here, then I'll put my pinky down and make it light strokes. But for this one, and later on we're gonna have some hair dangling around, which they are out of place. That is normal, right? So you just take your time and you follow these strokes, right? Just go one stroke at a time, exactly like that. Is this difficult? It doesn't seem difficult to me. Maybe because I can. So you just go take your time and apply these strokes, right? So now we have this overall, what do you call it? Pattern that we are trying to create, right? So here we're gonna go a little more darker, right, to bury all these whites, because there wouldn't be much reflections underneath this layer, right? So we go closer and apply in our strokes like that, and these edges would also be darker, and we come in here. It's just pretty much just throwing in these lines right? And trying to differentiate between the what do you call it, the lay shadows and midtones. But right now we haven't started really working on the shadows. We're just trying to get the layout down, right? To know that okay, this place is darker, this place is lighter, this place is much more darker, lighter, darker, lighter, darker, lighter, right? We're just trying to play that game now, right? So that when we start getting into it, after I change my pen to 0.2, that's when things start to get much more real. Should I say, can I say realistic? I never want to say that pen drawing can be realistic, because in some sense it lacks the some values that a pen cannot, a pencil produce, or a color pen would produce. Like every tool that you use has its unique features, right? I like pen drawing because it makes things permanent, and also it doesn't give me any second chances, right? Before I make a stroke, it makes me want to think through what exactly that I want to put down, right? And also when you do pen drawing, I like the texture it gives. It's just, I don't know, it's just so beautiful when it gets there, right? So this area, since there's a lot of hair overlapping each other, we're going to take our time and put it in layer by layer, make it darker and darker. Okay, like this. Exactly like that. Now this area is overexposed. However, I'm just gonna come in again and adding my lines like that, right? Now I'm gonna repeat these lines to just emphasize everything and just clean everything off. Hey, hello. when you're working on this thing, you try as much as possible to have the origin or similar from one place. Right? It's a must. Alright, so you give it in like this. All right. So far, so good, right? Now I'm gonna change my pen and take a darker pen. To emphasize some more on so I'm gonna grab my grabbing my 0.2, right? Grab my 0.2 and start to emphasize on some strokes, help build the texture. All right, build in the texture like that. Right now, giving it these values for the shadows. Oh, now we're gonna work on the shadows, right? Now we're working on the shadows. Then afterwards, we'll go back again to work on the midtones. So pretty much, you keep these in mind. So how as much as this area is, this one would be casting shadows over this part, it's always advisable not to overdo it, right? Because there's gonna be reflection and overexposed, right? One of my good friends advised me that everything reflects, right? So whenever we are doing a rendering, we would always keep that in mind. As a wood surface would reflect, tissue paper would reflect, metal, the fabric, the road, what else? Any material, like you just keep that in mind. Your hair, your skin, your teeth, anything reflects, all right? So how light bounces off a surface is not, when you're shading it, it will never be the same. You're gonna have some mid-tones, some areas would be overexposed, some areas would be casting different shadows and reflection and different things. So you try as much as possible to keep that in mind whenever you want to, you're shading something, right? So with this, now you realize that as this one, it bulges into it here, and this one overlays. Now here, this area here would be darker. But how do we do that? That's something you keep in mind, right? We're going to follow this curve, this curvature, right? We go up like this. The pattern or the direction of your strokes is very, 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 I cannot stress it enough. It's very, very important, because if you don't get it right, it's just going to appear very flat, right? And you don't want your work to appear flat, because if it does that, then you are not able to get the effect that you want, right? So you don't want your work to appear flat. So you would have to respect the contours or the shape at which, or the movements of what you're drawing, right? So here you realize that this is the movement, right? It's this line coming in like this. That's the movement. And there's another one, right? So obviously this area is going to be a little bit darker, right? It's going to be a little bit darker. And when I come here, I'm just going to follow like this, and this part is also going to go like that. Now here, the same thing. I go this way. Right? Nice. Now when we get here, we're gonna go a little bit darker, because there wouldn't be enough light in this direction, right? So we take our time, and I like to say kill it. We take our time and kill it. But this place, don't play with it, all right? Don't play with it. Don't even tamper with it, because that's where the reflection is, right? And the better the reflection, the well, I don't know if this sounds better. That's how well your work would feel, right? I'm gonna come here, and this one is gonna be a little darker. I'm gonna have different kinds of overlapping shadows here, because this hair is doing something weird here, right? So I'm just gonna go in, right? And like that, I just go like that. Right, so this is like that. Now this goes like this, and this like this. Now, beautiful. Now we've been able to create this thing. That is something that I was really looking forward to, because of how the ponytail, can I call it a ponytail? Because of how the ponytail is, right? This area would have to be like that. And after it gives you that, you realize that there's gonna be a lot of messy hair around this side, right? We will be doing all these messy hair after we get to a point where we are very satisfied with the shadows, because this one is not a problem in in doing it or trying to achieve these hair. Right? Yeah, so this side we're gonna have it a little darker. We're gonna have it a little darker like this. Right? This place, go here. Right? Oh, I love how this place is looking, right? I love that part, right? Just go in like that. Now you realize that every stroke that we are making, it's following a previous foundation. For example, this one is following this one, right? It's not just randomly drawn. Although, if I'm applying my strokes, it might seem random, but it's not. All right? So keep that in mind. All right? So this ones go this direction. These ones would go this direction. All right, I want to add in something here. All right, a little bit of overlap hair to make it, yes, beautiful like that. All right, and a little bit of shadows here to make it feel like, remember, every time there's an overlap, you would have to work a little bit on your shadows, right, to make it come alive. Right now here, there's a lot more work that we need to do here. I'm gonna make this one go like that. And now my shading, whilst I'm shading now, I'm using my pinky as a pivot, right? I'm pivoting off of my pinky to get these soft strokes for the shadows, right? Because if it's too dark and you make a mistake, it's hard to fix it, right? So you take your time, and we will darken it as we progress. But at this stage, we wouldn't want to do that yet. All right, so just take our time, and we do that like this. All right, just simple strokes, following the contours, right? So you just take your time. If you have a pen and paper, just grab it. Just try to practice these strokes. Just these strokes here, right? And you follow the contours. You repeatedly follow the contours. Right? All right. So we have this. Right, then we have something like this, right? But this area, I'm not really satisfied with this area. All right, I'm really hoping it's gonna be a little much darker than what I have done. So I'm going to do a little bit more work in there. Nice. This area is not looking so good. It's a bit messy here, so I need to clean up a little bit. And when I say messy, what I mean is the directions are not very obvious. All right, so it's hard to understand what is going on. Unlike areas like here, 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 and here, the strokes are very well laid out. So as soon as you see it, you don't need to think about it before you understand. But this area, you have to just look at it a little bit more before you get it, because I have directions like this coming in and I have direction like this going out. So there's a little bit of contradiction going on here. So I would have to fix it to make it much easier. Much easier to work with. And also the reflection area is too big, right? We just have to give it some place around this area, and that will be good. Just like here, we have this area, right? We just need it somewhere here. So all these areas will just be darker, right? Will just be darker. All right, it's looking a little more better. So this area would have it much more overexposed, right? Just gonna go in a little bit more, not too much, here and there. Okay, so that's this is like 50% of the work done. Now what we need to do now is to give it much more shadows, right? Not too much, because when you look at it, you realize that this area needs to be a little much darker. The shadows, we didn't apply it very well, so that's when I would change my pen from a 02 to a 04 to get that shadows, to be able to differentiate the mid-tones from the shadows, right? And if you don't really have a lot of requirements for the work, you can just stop here. All right, if you don't have too much requirement for what you're producing, and you just want to understand how the light works and how to draw hair, this is good enough, right? However, if you want to take it a step further, right, then you would have to introduce in a little more, couple more layers to the shading or to the strokes, or add in the all the hairs that would be flying around, for example, like here, right? We would have to give it some hair flying around here, you know, here as well, like not so tidy, because I don't know if you know a lady's hair, but it's hard to get a hair that's right. You would have these details, and these details makes it look natural. I don't know if I'm tripping, but in my understanding, and based on my little observation that I did before trying to do this sketch, you would realize that the hair not necessarily have that smooth texture as it appears. There's always a strain of hair flying in some flying in somewhere, right? So you just keep it, you just try to add in there and there. All right. Yeah, so I'm gonna bring in my 0.4, right? To clean up some areas, to help me differentiate certain aspect of the work properly, right? So like these details, right? That's what, in my opinion, it's able to, differentiate between somebody who knows what he's doing versus someone who doesn't understand very well what he's trying to draw, right? And just a disclaimer, I'm not saying that I know what I'm doing or I have a lot of understanding. Obviously, there's so much to learn about this. I bet somebody else would see this and be like, oh, you didn't do this. Oh, you didn't do this. Oh, you left this one out. Oh, this one is supposed to be like this, right? Yes. But what I'm trying to draw your attention to is like there are some details that you cannot afford to leave out, right? And there are some details that you can forget about it and decide, I don't want to do it, right? And it will still pass. So two of the details that I'm trying to, for me, drawing something like this that I cannot overlook, it is one, these ones, right? These messy hair that they be flying around, right? These ones I cannot, even if my proportion or the direction of my strokes are not right, trying to have these things in it would make me feel a little more comfortable about what I have done. I mean, the drawing. And another thing that I can't overlook is the overlapping of the hair, right? When the hair overlaps, always keep in mind that whenever the hair overlaps, it be producing shadows. And when you do your shadows, pay attention to your midtones. And when you pay attention to the midtones, don't forget your highlights, right? Because you don't want to overdo the shadows and you neglect the highlights. Like, then everything becomes so dark, right? So as you do the midtone, as you do the dark areas, you do the reflection, like where the lights will bounce off, and the midtones. If you get these ones down, like it'll pass the eye test, right? Somebody might look at it. People will look at it and be like, not bad, right? But then if you want to examine it, you'd have to take it a meter. You'd have to take it a meter away to examine it. You know when they say that when you're looking at art, you don't look so close. Exactly. All right. So yes, I'm gonna clean up a little more. I'm gonna work on my midtones a little bit. Get the midtones in there. Get the midtones in there. Nice, right? Get in there. And also don't forget the flying hair, because those ones would make it or unmake it. It'll make it or break it. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah, not unmake it. What is the meaning of right? So I got that down like that. All right, in this area, don't forget to the strokes. All right. Yep. All right, I'm gonna clean up a little more of this area here. I feel like today the word that I said the most was this area. Right? Now we have this. There it is. So here I'm gonna go a little more darker because of the overlay and because it's lower, so I don't want to get too much attention here. So I'm just gonna make it much darker. Right, I want the emphasis to be somewhere in this area or in this zone, if I can say that. All right, so guys, right, that's so far so good. This is how to draw hair, the fastest and easier way to draw hair. Within 40 minutes you'll be able to do something like this, right? If you're able to follow these principles that I shared, all these tricks that I shared when you were shading. Within 40 minutes you should be able to do something like this, and that's, I feel like getting something like this done in less than an hour is not a bad idea. All right, so yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. Kindly feel free to reach out to me if you have any thoughts, any sketch that you're struggling with. If you need some tips on it, hit me up, let me know. Like, share. All right, love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, for sticking around. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I don't know what YouTube wants that for, but please, if you can, do that for the algorithm. Right? All right, so that's it. I hope I didn't miss anything. Adding these scribbles around them, and yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. If you have any question, let me know. And until then, keep creating. All right, peace out.